Hi everyone. Today I'll be looking at three-part modal writing in the Benedictus from the Ave Maris Stella Mass by Thomas Louis de Victoria. The control of dissonance and other principles and rules for writing three-part modal counterpoint are essentially the same as writing for two parts. In three-part writing, however, complete triads may be vertically sounded. Although complete triads in root position and first inversion are frequently used, the use of incomplete triads where one of the triad's notes are doubled are also very common. Here, for example, this first inversion D minor triad contains two root notes and a third, and this root position G major triad lacks a third and has a doubled root note. Here also, this first inversion E minor triad contains a root note and doubled third. In all of these instances, the overall direction of the individual parts takes precedence over the need to produce a complete triad. In three-part writing, harmonic fourths between the upper two parts of a first inversion triad are now acceptable. Even tritones produced when the triad is diminished may be found. Here, for example, an augmented fourth between the fifth and root note of this first inversion F-sharp diminished triad and a diminished fifth between the root note and fifth of this first inversion B diminished triad are found. As with two-part writing, imitation is typically used at the beginnings of phrases and new lines of text. In this work, Victoria frequently uses imitation resembling the tonal answers of later fugues. Here, for example, the leap of a fourth in the alto is answered by the tenor's leap of a fifth. The bass then begins with the same theme as the alto. Later also, Victoria uses a similar imitative opening between the alto and tenor, with the tenor again answering the alto's fourth with the leap of a fifth. Here, however, the bass contains a descending leap. As with imitation in two-part writing, despite possible differences in the parts' melodic contours, the same rhythm is typically maintained between all parts. Along with imitation resembling later tonal answers, Victoria also uses real answers. Here, for example, the notes, rhythm, and intervals of the imitation between the alto and bass is identical. Cadences in three-part writing typically contain two parts which behave as 7/6 and 2/3 cadences in two-part writing. A third part is then added. Here, a 7/6 suspension between the tenor and bass moves to the cadential note G. Here, the alto ends on C and does not then move to the final cadential chord, but instead, after a rest, begins the new phrase. Here, a 2/3 suspension between the alto and tenor also moves to G. The bass then leaps from D to G but continues with the text. As here, the notes under the suspension often form chords whose root notes lie a fifth above that of the cadential chord and are therefore preempting the perfect cadence of later tonal music. Here again, a cadence on G includes a 7/6 suspension between the upper parts while the bass leaps from D to G. This cadence on F also includes a 7/6 suspension and a leap now from C to F. And the final cadence, again on G, includes a 7/6 suspension between the upper parts with a leap from D to G in the bass. Here also a C preceding the D creates what will later be called a first inversion supertonic seventh chord. With all of these cadences, when the third part is in the bass, the resulting intervals create 4/3 suspensions between the bass and the upper part suspension. Although 4 of the 5 cadences in this Benedictus movement are on G, the work does not use the Mixolydian mode. Instead it uses a transposed mode, in this case transposed D Dorian, which is indicated by the inclusion of a B flat in the key signature. When a church mode is transposed a fourth higher and the B note is flattened, the same mode, now transposed, is produced. In our example, the transposed D Dorian mode is equivalent to G Dorian. In transposed modes, the tritone now occurs between B flat and E. E-flats are therefore used to correct both harmonic and melodic instances of these forbidden intervals. Here, for example, Victoria uses E-flat to correct the harmonic tritone between the tenor and bass. Along with the customary raised leading notes at cadences, Victoria also includes accidentals at other points of the work. We've already seen how the inclusion of this F sharp and B natural produces diminished triads. Similarly, Victoria uses accidentals here to produce an A major triad, here to again produce an A major triad, this time in first inversion, which behaves cadentially to complete this line of text in the bass part, and here to again create an F sharp diminished triad. The three-part texture is rarely maintained for long periods and is typically reduced to two parts after cadences and when a new line of text or new phrase begins. Here, for example, a rest precedes use of the new E nomine text. When three parts are used, however, they cross freely provided no forbidden harmonic combinations result. Here the alto crosses below the tenor, and here the tenor moves below the bass. Two allowable dissonances not found in two-part writing are the 6/5 harmony and the so-called consonant fourth. We've already seen an example of the 6/5 harmony with the first inversion supertonic of the final cadence. These chords occur on a strong beat and consist of a first inversion triad with the interval of a sixth and fifth above the chord's third. As I mentioned earlier, in time these chords would come to be termed seventh chords. However, here they result from two notes which are both consonant with the lowest note but dissonant with each other. The note a fifth above the lowest note in this context always behaves as a suspension and must be prepared and resolved as such. Another example of this chord is found here, where this A major triad is preceded by an E minor 6/5 chord. The so-called consonant fourth or consonant 6/4 is a weak beat dissonance which typically occurs at cadences such as here. As here, it is used over a sustained note in the lowest part and consists of an essentially consonant initial chord which then moves to a chord in second inversion, the consonant fourth, before then moving through a 4/3 suspension to end with a cadence. The second inversion chord is really the result of one of the upper parts moving to form the preparation of the 4/3 suspension and the other doubling at the distance of a third or sixth, and is therefore, as with many later harmonic entities, linearly derived. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.